Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a fall get ready with me using the Subculture palette, a pretty cool fall palette, and I just wanted to make a look with it. And I'm doing a get ready with me, which I hardly ever do, because I want to talk about somewhat of a touchy subject. And if you're here, you already know what it is. This isn't about crapping on anybody. Okay. The subject is, what am I doing? Not using concealer. So the subject that I wanted to talk about today is, Ulta has for the past couple months had this ad campaign, which I absolutely adore, with a handicap or wheelchair bound beauty, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful woman in a wheelchair, and they chose her for, you know, part of their ad campaign. And I was super excited when I saw her, because like my first reaction was, yes, Ulta realizes maybe some of the struggles that people with disabilities experience, you know, and that we are in beauty too. Especially when you're talking about people who have mobility related handicaps. If you look at my old videos, you'll see that last year I spent the last 5 months of last year in a wheelchair. Before that I was using a rollator, and before that I was using a cane. Luckily I haven't had to use more than my wheelchair. Luckily this year I haven't had to use more than a cane for walking, though the disease could return or come out of remission at any time. So for now I'm kind of free from the rollator and the wheelchair. Anyway, I was really happy because last year when I was in a wheelchair, the problem that I had was accessing their stores. Okay, so my view is going to be slightly biased because I am not a person who relies on mobility devices all the time, though I usually use them at some time of the year, and now it's just a little bit more extreme on how reliant I am. So I at once was very happy about seeing Ulta promoting women with disabilities, and I thought maybe this was a sign that by making people with disabilities more visible, that they intended to make their stores more accessible. Okay, because it's one thing to make a group of people visible, but it's another thing to make your product or your services, your facility more accessible, and the two aren't the same. So we can go online and shop. I did a lot of online shopping when I was having problems last year, and it was because a lot of stores are not friendly to people who have mobility disorders or diseases, people who need assistive devices when they're walking. And I was one of those people. I am one of those people. And the first time I went to Ulta after being in a wheelchair, I was so excited because, like I said, makeup is something that made me happy, because I have an immune disorder. I don't have any control over what my body is doing to destroy itself, but I at least had control over putting this makeup on, and it made me really excited. And I had a really rough year last year. Like, I lost my job because of my disability, and so it was literally the only thing making me happy back then. So when I go to the store, Ulta, what do I discover? Okay, first of all, their doors are not really handicap or wheelchair user friendly. because at least at the stores where I shop, the 2 stores closest to me, the doors swing outwards. So if you're in a wheelchair, you have to grab the handle of the door and then roll yourself back and then quickly swing it open and then go in. Okay, it can be done. I've done it, but it does make things more difficult when the doors swing out instead of in. Like immediately that's a barrier for you to get in the store. And okay, I'm gonna go in with the shade Rowdy, sorry. That's what I immediately found really frustrating about going to the store. And then on subsequent visits to Ulta, I discovered that the store, the way their store is formatted, they have the aisles so close together that, okay, I'm a bigger person, so I have a bigger wheelchair, a wider than what, like standard size wheelchair probably. So this might, I don't know what the regulations are for, you know, accessibility under the ADA and all the other laws. So it could be that, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong and they don't have to accommodate me. But I discovered that there were aisles where not even my rollator would fit down. So rollator's not going down those aisles, neither is a wheelchair. So I had to rely heavily on Ulta staff to go and get like some of the more prestige beauty products. It always seemed like it was in the prestige, I think that's what Ulta calls it, the prestige part of the store, where they have like their more luxury beauty brands. And it was really frustrating because basically I'm going in there and it's almost like an online shopping experience where you can't really access the product. I had to, you know, maybe ask an Ulta employee, or they would come and help me because they were great. They were really helpful. They would help me open the doors. They would help me go get products that I needed. But yeah, I was basically relying on them to help me find products, and I wasn't really able to browse the way that I wanted to because everything was literally like not within my grasp. And I also had to rely on my husband on the weekends to take me to Ulta because he knew I struggled so much when I went to Ulta. So that became something that I looked forward to on the weekends. Like, okay, I'm going to get to go to Ulta, but I'll also have my husband to help me because going by myself became a thing that I didn't want to bother doing because it was such a chore going up and down aisles. Some of the aisles were so narrow that I'm basically going to have to risk, crushing my fingers and my hands going down the aisle. And it just wasn't worth it. So it was easier to go in these stores, these Ulta stores near me, when I had either my mother or my husband with me. I really want Ulta and other stores to be aware of some of these accessibility issues, because when you go into a store and they can't even provide you with enough room for you to navigate your mobility device, it almost feels like they don't really want you to be there. Like in the year 2019, the year 2000, okay? How can you build a store or pick a retail location and be completely ignorant of the demographics of the people who are going to be shopping at your store? There are always going to be disabled people who want to come and shop at a store. And I don't want this to seem like I'm picking on Ulta. it's just, they're the people that are they're the store that's most relevant to me. Okay. I mean, heck, even Walmart has better accessibility in their store, and that's saying, that's saying a lot. It's easier for me to go and buy makeup at Walmart or my local, you know, grocery store chain, Myers, than what it is to shop for makeup at Ulta, which is a makeup store that's promoting beauty. They're promoting women who have disabilities. So I'm just saying, Ulta, please do something about accessibility options in your store, because we would love to kind of be freed from the situation that we're in now, where we have to heavily rely on shopping online. So while this message is for Ulta, I think it's very relevant to other retailers, because some people can definitely stand to improve their accessibility. I can't comment really on Sephora that much. I only have one Sephora near me that I hardly go into because I don't like their prices. But when I was in my wheelchair and when I was using the walker, I didn't go into Sephora as often, simply because of how far I was gonna have to travel in order to get to the location. There are no standalone Sephora stores near me. The only ones that are near me are the ones located inside JCPenney. And of course, JCPenney is a large department store. So I just didn't feel like blowing out my shoulders trying to get to the Sephora inside JCPenney. That's another issue that, you know, what can you do? But yeah, so I wasn't shopping at Sephora as much because of that, unless my husband took me. That was one of the, you know, the times when I would ask him to take me to the mall, because I did not want to like wheel myself that whole way. And bless him, he did. And so did my mom. But the floor plan inside of the Sephora's that I went into when I was in my wheelchair, they were pretty tight as well. It seems like these like cosmetic stores like Ulta and Sephora, they want to offer a wide variety of products, but the problem is that by offering all these products within such a small space, they really have to put the shelves so close together that it's not really accessible to people who can't walk or who need to walk with assistive devices. That's my point. The retail locations, I'm sure a lot of specialty stores, not just Sephora and Ulta, could be more friendly to people who use mobility devices. That's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to call out your favorite store. I'm not trying to call out Ulta. I'm not trying to call out Sephora, because I love both of them. And I love makeup, but I don't want to have to be in a situation where I feel like I can't go to this store because I'm not going to be able to physically navigate it. And I do want to like give a shout out here to Ulta's employees, because when I was in a wheelchair or I was in the rollator, there was no way I would have been able to shop for some of the products that I was looking for if they hadn't been just the stand-up human beings that they were and actually came and said, "Hey ma'am, can we help you? Are you looking for something? Let me go get that for you." They would go and get the product, let me swatch it, and kind of run back and forth going to get products for me so that I could have something close to a normal shopping experience. And I think that's great, because they didn't have to do that for me. And I'm sure Ulta doesn't pay them to do that either, but they were all great and they did that for me. I really appreciate that. My point though, by telling you this, is that I don't feel like we should always have to rely on the decency of other human beings to provide us access. And that is what laws governing accessibility for handicapped people. That's what that was created for, so that we wouldn't have to rely on the charity of others to get into places that we wanted to be at, or places that we needed to be at, like school and like work. So anyway, I got into doing my eyeshadow and needed to gather my thoughts. But here's what I would hope could happen at stores like Ulta and Sephora, is that they take steps to improve like wheelchair accessibility and accessibility to their store for people who have mobility disorders. That starts with looking at how the doors swing, right? So, I mean, ideally, if they could eliminate swinging doors, that would be great. But if they had to have swinging doors, if they could install those the switches, the automated switches for wheelchairs, that would be great. They really do help, and I don't think people appreciate how much they help until it's not there and you're in a wheelchair. Definitely the aisles could be widened in their stores, and I know like space is money and a setting like Ulta and Sephora, because the more this cat, woo, these cats. Like, I understand that space equals money for them, but if they could try to widen their aisles a little bit so that it can accommodate a standard, say, rollator or a standard walker, wheelchair, that would be helpful as well, and make people less reliant on, you know, other human beings, which is kind of what those regulations were made for, is making sure that people didn't have to rely on the charity of others to get around. But I don't want you to think everything is all bad and like the store is horrible because they don't have some of those accessibility things. There are good things about wheelchair accessibility in their stores. For instance, on their drugstore side, they tend to have more, it's in the stores that I go to, they tend to have more space down the aisle so that you can browse. And something that I just realized about the stores is that, you know, when you go into a big box retailer like Walmart, they have these aisles that the shelves are stacked really high, and all of Ulta stores have, the Ulta stores that I've been into, they have shelving that's accessible to someone in a wheelchair. It's just a pity that they fail by having aisles that are not wide enough for people in all weird wheelchair sizes. But I think that's still a cool thing that they were thoughtful enough to have done that, and I would hope that that doesn't change. So they are doing some things correct, you know, the ad campaign, the way they formatted their shelves, but there's just always room for improvement, and hopefully, you know, it won't be taken as something negative, but a way for them to potentially improve at what they're already doing great, which is providing great staff. Alright guys, I put on most of my face because apparently I can't think, talk, and put on makeup at the same time. But here are my closing thoughts on the topic. I feel like Ulta's intentions are good. I feel like they're moving in the right direction. And hopefully this will bring a more awareness to the issue in the community and in a larger community like American and European communities. Europe is actually probably better than what the United States is, just for whatever reason we get crapped on. So anyway, this is the look. Tell me what you guys think, because I am interested in what other people's experiences of mobility, disabilities, or handicaps and accessibility to stores. It's the capitalist country, and when people can't get into your store, like, how do you make money when you're carving out such a large part of the population, in my opinion? So anyway, I want to know what people's experiences are and have been being in a wheelchair, using a rollator or a walker, or even using a cane. You know, that gets to be complicated too, like carrying a shopping bag on one arm and then you got the cane on the other, and your balance is kind of thrown off. So I just like to know what you guys think of the issue, and if you know people or if you're personally affected by it. And anyway, I hope you like this look. I know I look like a clown. It's cool. I don't have anywhere to go today. And I will see you guys later. Bye.